This is a case that I talked about a little bit earlier with Carol, but there's been some new developments and new details that have come out of St. Paul, Minnesota. It's the case where a mother of three was found dismembered in several pieces of luggage. A gruesome discovery that led to the arrest and subsequent charging of her boyfriend, Joseph Jorgenson, a 40-year-old man who allegedly committed the horrendous act in the apartment that they shared. Manijeh Starren was only 33 years old at the time of her murder, last seen on video footage darting from her apartment on the evening of April 21st. Chilling image of fear palpable in her flight in that recording. It disturbingly captures the pursuit by Jorgenson, who forcefully hauled her back into the apartment. Chilling narrative takes a ghastly turn as after that evening, according to St. Paul Sergeant Mike Ernstner, Jorgenson emerged alone from the unit while Starren was never seen again. Despite the sudden disappearance of Starren, Jorgenson made no effort to report her missing to the authorities. On the contrary, he appeared to resume his life nonchalantly, refraining from mentioning her disappearance to anyone. The chilling silence was finally shattered on May 1st when Starren's worried father reported her missing and shared his daughter's fears about her boyfriend. She had previously confided to her father, to the father of her son, that Jorgenson had once wrapped a rope around her neck. A horrifying antidote that painted a stark reality in her life. It doesn't end there, though. There's an ominous digital footprint here. Jorgenson had allegedly sent Starren threatening and abusive text messages earlier in April, with one menacing stating, "Hope you die of a kidney infection, bitch." It kind of goes on to terrible fucking mother, all sorts of horrible things. Following her disappearance, surveillance footage recorded Jorgenson entering Starren's apartment, and this is what we just talked about. And he was going into the apartment using her keys on 28 separate occasions after she had gone missing, each visit signifying kind of a deepening mystery here. The footage from April 28th showed Jorgenson leaving the apartment with 2 duffel bags and a suitcase. Eerily, Google data retrieved from Jorgenson's device revealed searches like jugular. What? I can't say I've ever searched for jugular, but I guess if you're going to kill somebody, it'd be good to know where that is. What do people do with a missing persons report? And lime for soil, a substance known to hasten decomposition. It's Google getting everybody every time.
It really is. I've actually searched for jugular, but that's for a medical reason.
Mm-hmm.
The jugular vein on a dog is a really great place to draw blood. But you know, I have proof that, you know, I haven't killed anybody either. Mm-hmm. So there's that.
Yeah. I mean, and it's one of those stories where you hear the signs that were there, the emails and the texts that were seen, the confiding into someone about, he put a rope around my neck. If anyone's out there listening that's, you know, new to the world of relationships, maybe you're young, as we all have been at some point in time, and if you have a significant other that's doing shit like that to you, that's not normal. That's not okay, ever. No. And they don't love you, no matter how much they say it. Like, oh, it's all changed for you, whatever the fuck. If someone is putting a rope around your neck, run. It's done. It's over. There's no fixing that. There's no... and if anyone's saying that sort of shit to you either, if you're getting text messages from your boyfriend, from your husband, whoever the fuck it may be, girlfriend, wife, it's time to leave.
Yes.
Because there's nothing that is going to rectify any of that. Anyone who truly does love somebody, even in the most horrendous of circumstances, would not do that to the other unless they were capable of killing them.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a huge sign that you are in a dangerous situation. I know for me personally, I went on a date, goodness, in my early 20s, maybe, with a former soccer star from Minnesota. That's as far as I'm going to go with describing who it was.
Sure.
But we were playing pool at a bar. Alcohol was involved. he made a really horrible shot. And I laughed. I said something like, well, I'm glad that you can play soccer better than you play pool. He came over and grabbed my arm, and he grabbed it so hard that his nails left marks in my arm. And I was like, fuck, we're done here.
Yeah.
That is your first sign. If something, I mean, that was pretty aggressive. But there had been little signs up until then. He couldn't handle somebody poking fun at him. Mm-hmm. So you start to, kind of ignore these signs. He's just in a bad mood. No, if somebody is doing that kind of shit, it gets worse every fucking time.
Yeah.
These are all signs. You have to pay attention to these things.
If that's just on the surface of what they're displaying to you, there's much more. There's much more where that came from.
Absolutely.
Is what one has to discover. Unfortunately, most people discover that by living through it and then going, oh, maybe, but
yeah, whoops.
Yeah. In a turn of macabre discovery, law enforcement conducted a search warrant at Starren's apartment. They stumbled upon a horrifying sight, a cracked television on the floor, and copious amounts of blood splattered in the living room and kitchen, suggesting a brutal and violent crime had been committed within the confines of the apartment. Neighbors in Jorgenson's apartment complex in Maplewood began to complain about a foul smell. Go figure. You have body parts you might smell. In mid-May, and recalled seeing him dragging large black duffel bags out of his apartment. A very chilling image they described to police made them seem like Jorgenson was carrying a dead body. Well, it's probably because he was. When the authorities conducted a search warrant in late June, desperate Jorgenson barricaded himself in his bedroom and ignited a fire, leading to a tense standoff with the SWAT team, because that'll end well. The final horrifying unraveling took place when GPS data from Jorgenson's phone led investigators to an eye storage facility inside a unit rented under his roommate's name. They encountered a nauseating smell of decomposing flesh and discovered Starren's dismembered body, her torso in a large cooler, her head in a small cooler, and her arms and legs in a blue duffel bag.
Oh, God. And, again, we've talked about this before. This dismembering a body takes a lot of work, doesn't it?
I would think so. I can't imagine it's like an easy thing to do.
No, I mean, I'm cringing about, I need to go exercise at some point here. And I'm just like, that's too much work. I can't imagine thinking about dismembering a body.
It makes me wonder who the roommate is. Honestly, in that statement, the roommate, under the roommate's name, who's the roommate?
Yeah.
And does the roommate not notice anything weird about the TV on the ground being broken and blood all over the place, or the decomposing flesh? Were they on vacation? Are they on holiday at that moment in time and just didn't seem to catch any of that?
Yeah, maybe, we've all lived with a horrible roommate before. Maybe this was nothing new.
I refuse to share my home with strangers.
Smart man.
I have never had a roommate other than someone that I was in a relationship with. And
you're very smart. It's horrible.
Yeah, I've heard horror stories.
And they're all true. Every story you've heard is true. Well, they're all true.
And there's something I was saying the other night about that, where with COVID too, it made it even harder to kick a bad roommate out. Like, they have so many rights that it's ridiculous. No matter how horrible they are being, even if you are the actual owner of the property, you can't just like say it's done and you need to get out by 5. It's
No, you're screwed.
And you're in that same place with them. Maybe the roommate ran. I don't know. Or a former roommate. I'd be very curious to learn more about that.
I'm guessing they knew that he was a psychopath and they got the fuck out.
I would hope so. Jorgenson's lawyer has not yet responded to requests for comment. He's currently being held on $5 million bail, with his next court appearance scheduled for August 21st. So we'll see. Do you think he's going to plead not guilty on this?
Oh, I'm sure he will.
I'm sure he will, too. Just another fine, red-blooded American doing what he does. Q, Brooks, and Dunn. Only
America.
You're locked into the Hidden Killers podcast.
Want more? Start binging on all of our true crime podcasts right now through Apple Podcasts and get an ad-free experience when you sign up to be a True Crime Today Premium Plus member exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast dropping soon.
Press subscribe now.